Joining me on this India First special broadcast is Lieutenant General Syed Atta Hasnain. General Hasnain commanded the Kashmir Corps and he knows the minds of the people. Dr. Tara Kartha is former director at the National Security Council Secretariat. Yashodhan Azad is former special director of India's Intelligence Bureau. Shishpal Vaid, S.P. Vaid is former director general of Jammu and Kashmir Police. And Zeenat Shaukat Ali is the founder, director general of an organization that strives for peace and harmony. I want to bring in General Hasnain. General Hasnain, your reading of this entire episode and the arrest of so many doctors, Dr. Adil, Dr. Muzammil, Dr. Umar Mohammed apparently killed, Dr. Shaida Shaheen, Dr. Parvez Ansari absconding, Dr. Sajjad Ahmed taken into custody.
Thank you, Gaurav. Let me start by firstly expressing my deep regret for the loss of Indian lives. And that's something we always regret whenever an incident of this kind takes place. Having said that, I've been following your complete assessment and that of Ashraf Wani from Kashmir. I'm completely with you. What you must remember in this, Gaurav, is that you are really seeing the tip of the iceberg. Because this kind of a thing is essentially linked to overground worker networks in Jammu and Kashmir. That's where you may have killed 4,000 terrorists, as we are saying, but you have not been able to eliminate those networks. It's very, very difficult neutralizing them, and from time to time they keep resurfacing. Now, these elements that you are looking at today at the moment are all an extension of those networks into the rest of India. And we are very fortunate that our intelligence agencies, the Jammu and Kashmir police, along with the other two states, have been able to get to the bottom of this right in the beginning. Last 15 days, they have been working on this, and they've been able to neutralize this module to a very large extent. I'm sure as time goes along, we'll be able to do it completely. But I think a lot of accusations and allegations are being made about an intelligence failure and things like that. Let me tell people who are alleging that no 1% case where you fail, you will invariably have an incident of this kind. But remember that 99% of the cases we have succeeded always. India has been kept safe for the last 15 years from these kind of incidents. All our urban areas, all our metropolises have been safe, except maybe in Jammu and Kashmir, where a proxy war was on all these days. So I have no doubt about the professionalism of India's intelligence agencies and police forces, and they will deliver as we come along.
Okay, since you raised the point of alleged intelligence failure by some, let me bring in Yashodhan Azad, former special director of in the Intelligence Bureau. Mr. Azad, when you look at this entire operation, the arrests, the recoveries, the chaps who are still absconding, and this the alleged suicide attack, do you look at it as a success of our intelligence agencies and investigating agencies and police in preventing a major disaster, or do you look at it as failure as some do?
No, certainly. I mean, every time a terrorist act takes place, to blame the intelligence agencies and to blame the security forces is certainly not wise. Imagine the kind of mass killing or disaster which has been prevented. You look at that module was absolutely ripe with 2,900 kgs of explosives. You remember in Oklahoma, there were only 2 tons of explosives, and what a loss it created. And imagine if this could have been activated, then what would have happened?
So imagine that for us. Mr. Azad, you've raised a very pertinent point. I want you to elaborate on this. 2,900 kilograms of ammonium nitrate fuel oil. What could this have done, sir?
I mean, the idea was definitely to create terror in the minds of people. You remember the kind of blasts which were taking place in Delhi. Delhi was safe for 15 years. Remember the kind of blasts which were taking place in Sarojini Nagar, Lajpat Nagar, and all those areas. And
I've covered all of those. I've covered all of those on ground.
That's why I'm telling you. And so you can imagine with this, the recce which was done of RSS headquarters, the places which were seen. Suppose this car, which was supposed to, I don't know whether it was supposed to detonate there, or it may have, rammed into any building. Remember, it was a JM car which attacked the J&K building in October 1, 2001. So if
J&K
you look
Assembly
at all
building.
this and the
Absolutely right, sir.
mass devastation which we have escaped, we should thank. Of course, in this particular case, the intelligence agencies and the security agencies are still finding out whether it was only one person in that car or three. If there's only one, then obviously it was a suicide attack or whatever you can call it. If there were three people, then it happened by accident. But
Okay.
nevertheless, if you look at the damage, the purpose is done. The aim is
Yes.
successful, killing 13 people and 26 injured. So I would say it's a sensational act, but the investigative agencies are absolutely on the right track. And I'm sure there'll be more and more linkages coming out. As you said, the story is not over. So far, we have 3 states. How many he has been able to radicalize is something we really need to know. And remember one thing, radicalization of the educated has not started now. The ISIS was attempting it through the internet long time back. And you remember the educated people from Kerala who had gone to the
Yes,
ISIS
to
battleground.
Afghanistan.
And many of them ran
Absolutely.
back. Many of them ran back. Some got killed. And with that, we got to know during the interrogation as to how the educated were being trapped. In the
Before I
9
bring in Dr. Tara Kartha and Zeenat Shaukat Ali, I want to quickly bring in Mr. Vaid as former Director General of Jammu and Kashmir Police. These are not illiterate young Muslim boys who can be indoctrinated. They're educated doctors. They're actually the cream of the Kashmiri society. If they're making it to GMC Srinagar, if they're making it to top medical colleges, if they're becoming doctors, it would mean that they have their mental faculties. And yet, if a paramedic can indoctrinate them, sir, it is very, very alarming. They study from the taxpayers' money. It is your money and mine that pays for their education, and then they ultimately come and kill us.
Good evening, Gaurav. Good evening to all my co-panelists and your viewers. See, Gaurav, all of us who have worked in Kashmir Valley know the ultimate dream of Kashmiri young boys and girls is to become doctor. And having become doctors, having secured job, uh, getting radicalized this way, it's not normal madrasa educated young boys. They are
Yes.
highly educated, scientific mind, rational mind. And after that, if you can radicalize them to the extent of killing their own countrymen, working against the country, and even to the extent of becoming a suicide bomber, what you saw yesterday, what Umar Muhammad did. So you can imagine the kind of radicalization that has taken place. We all know South Kashmir has been the hotbed of radicalization, whether it is Shopian, Pulwama, Kulgam, Anantnag, and all this is tracing back to that area. In fact, when I was police chief, South Kashmir was the biggest headache post
Yes.
Burhan Wani,
Yes,
and
I remember.
we only know how we brought
2016.
that
Yes.
situation back to normals. So, see, the worrying part is it has linkages from across the border, which investigators will very soon find. It is not a simple, isolated module. Let me tell you, it's a very deep-rooted, well-planned, and well rehearsed doctor module, terror module. I don't know how many such modules are there in other parts of the country.
Absolutely. That's the
That
threat. That's the big threat, Dr. Tara Kartha. How many other such modules still exist? How many doctors who are actually treating us by day are plotting to kill us by night? Like that doctor in Hyderabad who's been arrested for making that ricin chemical for that toxin, for that attack on us. I mean, these are guys are doctors, best education that money can offer in India. They have it, they have jobs, and yet they're plotting to kill us.
Yes, and this is when most of us in various parts of the state, you pay crores to get a medical seat, and then you do something like this. But I would agree with what the earlier speaker was saying. This kind of people are not new. I mean, it is still very dismaying And this module, by the way, I think it's going to go much further than what we've seen as of now. I'm so glad. What I really, really appreciate in this operation is that all the agencies are working together. It's been across the board, people from Delhi, Jammu, everywhere, everyone is working together. That's how we've been seeing this. But I just want to take you back to this. There was this, in March 25, there was this whole Pakistani gang arrested in Spain and Italy involved in indoctrination, a woman involved in getting other women, into this kind of a journey, all of them educated. This is not something new for Pakistan. You had that earlier. I mean, that was blinding. And a couple in San Francisco,
Yes.
extremely highly educated, from an extremely good family, who went and shot 14 people. That lady had a baby. So this is, this kind of, for us, we tend to think that the religious zealots are, wild-eyed and, sort of from poor backgrounds. I don't actually see that across either in Al-Qaeda or in Islamic State. It is not the poor and hungry who are doing this. They are too, bogged down in their own troubles. It is the middle class who is getting into this ring. But this ring,
My worry is, ma'am, you're absolutely right. Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, my worry is that these are people who are amongst us. They could be treating you and I, they could be treating your child and mine, your parents and mine, and they could be secretly plotting to kill them, like that doctor from Hyderabad who was putting together chemicals to put that, the ricin toxin. This is very, very worrisome. How do these elements get indoctrinated despite having the best that the Indian society can offer?
Thank you, Gaurav, for inviting me to this program. The first thing I would like to say that I totally condemn this act of barbarism and denounce people of this kind who take the name of Jaish-e-Mohammed, that is related to Muhammad who taught you peace, may peace be upon him, and you use the name of religion to destroy and to kill people. I think they are highly condemnable, and I think that as a Muslim, I would like to say that they should be put out of the pale of Islam, because I will quote to you verses and I will quote to you the Prophet's traditions that say this. But before I get
Yes.
into that, I would like to say that, this entire, thing orchestrated by educated, arming, financing, perpetrating, radicalizing. Imagine radicalizing people, doctors who are supposed to be life saviors. Doctor, you go to a doctor when you're sick and you want to get cured. Do doctors do this kind of thing? It's a shame. And I completely agree with the Prime Minister, and I'm glad that he has said this, that they have to be brought to books immediately, and the
Absolutely.
perpetrators, after due investigations, must be given the highest, strongest kind of punishment or being hung in public. And these kind of academics, who have chosen this sinister path to terrorism, have to be caught. And I think it is time, I have a few suggestions, Gaurav. I hope I'm not overstepping my time. But I would just like to say that, we have to become much more proactive, because everything is becoming extremely unsafe. I could be
My
walking
bigger
on the
question, ma'am, you're absolutely right. What were other doctors at the Al Falah, organization in Faridabad doing, for example? Would they not have known what's happening in their midst, General Hasnain and Mr. Vaid and, Mr. Yashodhan Azad? You've dealt with these things all your lives, all your careers, and I want to understand from you. Could they have operated in a cocoon? Would their neighbors not have known? Would others not have known what they are up to? Or is there an enabling ecosystem? Bharat mein khao aur Bharat ki thali mein chhed kar do. Is this what these elements are doing in our midst? Because that would be very worrisome. Again, subject to due process of law. In India, fortunately, we don't hang people in public, madam, but, Ms. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, but I would want due process of law to be followed and strictest possible action if that deters General Hasnain. One, how many more would people have known the kind of dangers that we still face, General Hasnain?
See, Gaurav, I'm sure Vaid sir will bear me out completely. The business of overground workers in Jammu and Kashmir is far more serious than what we allude to normally. The networks are huge, and mostly we get satisfied with the elimination of a large number of hardcore terrorists. Hardcore terrorists are a menace, no doubt. They are a major threat to us. But it is the overground worker networks which are far greater to my mind, because they are the ones who spread this into society. And as to your question, whether people know about their existence or not, very much. Many times it happens that these networks are so large, anyone in society generally knows about them. The whole concept of hideouts in Jammu and Kashmir, for example, could a hideout in a house be created without the neighborhood coming to know about it? That's a very, very usual thing. The other worrisome thing, Gaurav, is the fact that we have had about 5 suicide bombings in Kashmir in the last 36 years. Not more. Only about 5 of them, in fact. Now, suddenly to think of such a huge quantum of explosive, and that too in Delhi, being transported from one place to the other, if there were 3 such bombers inside this car, probably their whole intention would have been to look for 3 places where to place IEDs, or perhaps to even blast cars. So this culture is a very, very dangerous thing. It's not happened in India too often. It's happened in Pakistan, Afghanistan. It's happened in Iraq to a great extent. India mercifully has been free of this. And this is something we need to take stock of and go after these overground worker networks in a greater way.
So I completely agree with you. Mr. Vaid, how difficult is it to go after overground workers, especially in Kashmir? I would imagine in rest of the country, it would be relatively easier. I at least hope and pray so, that intelligence agencies and police are able to go after them. And based on evidence that the police are able to gather, there would be time-bound action and, prosecution and punishment on the basis of evidence through courts of law, sir. Mr. Vaid, how difficult is it in J&K?
Gaurav, when a society gets radicalized and all its wings get affected, it is the family, it is the schools, the general atmosphere where these young boys pick up radical elements, and it's a very, very serious threat. And I agree with General Hasnain. A lot needs to be done to check radicalization, not only in Kashmir Valley. It is a challenge for all of us in other parts of the country today, whether it is Kerala, whether it is West Bengal, and many other parts of the country. I don't want to name all of them. And today, you're seeing what's happening in the whole Europe and America, where also some of these countries have taken huge steps to counter radicalization. I think we have yet to take many steps to.
Oh, absolutely. The time of being polite and politically correct, evidence-based prosecution, Mr. Azad, isn't that the need of the hour? Before I bring in Dr. Tara Kartha, I want to understand from you, rest of the country, evidence-based prosecution should be relatively easier, or do you fear that there would be an enabling ecosystem that will come and they will say, when somebody chants Bharat Tere Tukde Honge in universities, that's freedom of expression. Do we need stricter action against those who say Bharat Tere Tukde Honge? That's not freedom of expression, because courts also must realize today they're saying it, tomorrow they'll do it. Sir, I think you're on mute, sir.
No, I'm not on mute. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go on, sir. Loud and clear, strength 5. Go on, sir.
Yeah. You see, the problem in the whole country is the judicial backlog and a very poor prosecution. There's no doubt about it. In fact, the prosecution should also be there when the filing of the charge sheet is done, whether the case is actually made out or not. And if a case is made out, to piece together the evidence in such a manner that, immediately the case can be properly prosecuted. In fact, the Supreme Court has come down on the lower courts and said, why are the charge sheets not being framed, and they should be done in a particular time. De-radicalization is a challenge which we need to do. I agree with Vaid when he says that it is something not only in this country, but throughout the world. And therefore, this is one thing which the intelligence agencies, the security agencies, the society as a whole have to get into. And the last point which I wanted to tell you was that the question which you said, didn't the neighbors know what they were doing? You're right. many of the neighbors know, but they keep quiet. They wish it away, or they don't want to get into any kind of trouble. These are the kind of people we have to motivate to come out in the interests of the country, because these doctors are not a blot on their uniform. They are also traitors to the country.
Absolutely. And they're just being so unfair. They're being so unfair to the medical fraternity. Because I trust doctors with my eyes shut. They are healers. Doctors are second only to God. But these are elements who are devils incarnate, should they actually have done what they stand accused of. And I want to bring in Dr. Tara Kartha. And Dr. Tara Kartha, I'm on the point of those who are an enabling ecosystem. Are bacche hain. कह दिया यूनिवर्सिटी में भारत तेरे टुकड़े होंगे तो क्या हुआ. I want to talk about those who say cut India off at Assam. We will cut them off at Assam. We'll cut off India's northeast, and that's seen as freedom of expression. Are those the elements? Today they are saying it, tomorrow they will do it, like these doctors who are alleged to have done, madam.
I'm 100% in agreement with you. This kind of talk can't be tolerated. And unfortunately, I have seen this firsthand. In a certain state, in a certain areas where the local police know about it, they can't go there. There are areas in this country which are actually no-go. And I think it's time we took those on, head on, sort them out as of now. Enough is enough. But there is one thing I want to caution on regarding Kashmir. I respect General Hasnain completely. What Pakistan wants you to do is to launch a huge sort of drive in Kashmir. You've got normalcy, quote unquote, normalcy back. When you take action against OGWs, it has to be a very, very careful exercise. That is a cautionary tale. But in the other areas, Gaurav, I am with you. We can't tolerate this kind of thing in our universities. It is simply not on. And those areas which the government knows about, I don't want to talk about it here. You need to take action there, because those are kind of, they are like festering wounds in this country's body.
You know, how do you de-radicalize? I want to bring in, ma'am, you've raised a very pertinent point. How do you de-radicalize such elements? Because when you talk about a doctor, let's say, let's just talk about Dr. Adil, for example, or Dr. Muzammil, or Dr. Umar Muhammad. Why would you think that guys who've made it in life, they're already MBBS doctors, they're studying to do their MS, they've achieved everything that you may want to achieve, you should only aspire to go higher? How do you de-radicalize these elements who seem to be wanting to go down? ये तो मतलब जन्नत की तरफ जा रहे, दोज़ख की आग में जल रहे, madam.
You're asking me?
I'm asking Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, madam.
Sorry. You see, Gaurav, what my simple point to de-radicalize is, a suggestion that I have, that every imam of the Muslims, when they're giving, excuse me, a sermon on a Friday, had to bring to light the certain verses that I'm going to quote, where murder is considered to be outside
Ma'am,
the
catch
pale
your
of
breath,
Islam.
but it's the imam that's sadly indoctrinating them here. You know, if you want to go to a mosque for light, it is the imam Maulvi Irfan Ahmad who's accused of pushing them towards darkness. How do you sort that out?
That is absolutely correct. What I'm simply saying is that all the imams have to get together and on every Friday give a sermon on the verses of the Quran which are saying that you cannot be a Muslim or called a Muslim if you are radicalized and start killing people, because murder, and I'm reading you the verses of the Quran, there is the verse of Surah 5 number 32, where if you kill one innocent human being, it is as if you have killed
You're
all
killing the entire
mankind.
humanity. Absolutely.
Destruction of humanity. Then there is verse number 17, and 33, and 6 and 157, which talk, no, take a life that God has made sacred. I'm reading to you a direct verse of the Quran. Prohibition of aggression is contributed to your own destruction. You're destroying
Ma'am, catch your breath. Let me bring in Dr. Tara Kartha as you catch your breath for a moment. Dr. Tara Kartha, you seem to disagree on the point that they can be de-radicalized just by getting the right sermons from their imams.
No, I just wanted to quickly say, ironically, Pakistan's Punjab, they've extended section 146 and they've said no Friday prayers. They've shut it down. Can you do that here? You can't. So there is when you want to do something and you decide this area is not on, you shut down these people who are talking this kind of thing. What she said is very right. This is not what Islam preaches.
Yes, yes.